Meeting in order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kathy, would you call to order?
You got it. Wheeler.
Here.
Garland.
Here.
Maloney.
Here.
Likens.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Calderon.
Here.
And Quinn.
Here.
We have a quorum.
And if we could have a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I just have a note that the members need to be updated on the minutes.
I'm sorry, what needs to be updated?
The members on the header. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, motion by Garland,
Second.
second by Peters. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes. I would like to take a quick second to acknowledge a new member to our commission, Louis Calderon. Welcome. Glad you're on board.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
And I would also like to welcome the presence of our new city attorney, Tom Tanis. And Tom, would you just take a brief minute to give this commission a brief little history of sort of where you've been and
How did I get here?
how did you get back here?
Right, that's a common question. My name is Tom Thanis. I actually started in local government law in 1981 as an assistant city attorney in Joliet. I spent most of my professional career in Joliet, ended up becoming the city attorney, corporation counsel there for many years, and eventually became city manager there for 6 years. While I was city manager there, I met Ben, and Ben was in a couple different positions unrelated to management, and he and I connected on several levels. And while I was manager, I was reducing the workforce because of the recession that started in 2008. We dropped about 15% of our workforce, and a lot of them management employees. So every time I lost an employee, I would give Ben whatever that person was doing, and he would not fight back. He took it on, and I said, you really need to become a manager someday. So anyway, Ben and I have had a long relationship. I came here in 2015 when Ron Kaniva retired after 30-some years. Bill, you probably know the exact amount, but Ron had been here for many years, and I was going to fill in for him for a few months until a permanent replacement was found. And I was spending 2.5 years as an interim then. Enjoyed it, but then it was time for me to move on. And then when Sonny was appointed to the circuit court, I had a brief conversation with Ben and the mayor and told him I would be available if needed. And I'm here shorter than 2.5 years, though, this time. So it'll be a short-term stay, but my role is to try to help keep things moving. So that's what I'm here for. You've got a great staff to work with, and it's a pleasure to be back. So thank you very much.
Tom, glad to have you back.
Thank you.
There are no public hearings, so we'll move to new business. Kimberly? Planning case 2024-013.
We do have one
Start that
case
one. Okay.
for old business that this would have been a public hearing, and we were continuing this through, but we canceled the case number 2024-005. This was for the gas station on the 151st Street and Archer Avenue, for the purpose that simply because the application expired, we expect that this group will be back, and at that time they will need to complete new notifications.
Did they purchase that property, so they own it currently?
The case up before you tonight is case number 2024-013. The petitioner, Eric Coons, on behalf of Shelby LLC, has submitted an application for approval of preliminary and final development plans in one step for a 10,495 square foot commercial building on Lot 5 of Rose Lockport Center for a daycare facility. Rose Lockport Center, Unit 2, is a planned commercial development, Zone C2, Community Commercial, having a total of 6 commercial outlots, one of which is a detention outlot. Other developments in Rose Lockport Center include Murphy's Gas Station on Lot 3, Panda Express Restaurant on Lot 1A. The proposed daycare facility is located on Lot 5. A daycare is a permitted use within the C2 zoning district. The proposed development is not in substantial conformance with the city's bulk requirements. Staff found a rear building setback variance from 20 feet to 16.6 feet is needed. It is important to note that this variance was requested by the applicant at the time of application. However, it was overlooked by staff and is not included in the request before you tonight. Staff formally requests that the commission allow an administrative variance, as the deviation is within the allowable limits of administrative variance. This will require written notice to the abutting property owners. The case would continue to move to the committee of the whole if no objections are received. However, if an objection is received, the case would be remanded back to the Plan and Zoning Commission as an amendment to the plan development with public notification. But should the commission grant this request, this will be considered a condition of approval. Additionally, the plan set should be revised prior to committee of the whole to clearly mark the rear building setback at 16.6 feet, and this would also become a condition of approval. So moving on to the final site plan. The final site plan is displayed on your monitor. The site plan illustrates a single-story, 10,000 plus or minus square foot building with a 6,155 square foot outdoor playground and parking lot. The proposed building is oriented to face north on the site. The playground area is enclosed by a fence having 6-inch bollards that are spaced 5 feet apart on the east side of the playground. Site access to the overall development is provided in 2 main locations. There's full access point off of Farrell Road across from the Jewel Osco access point, and there is also full access with a traffic signal at the Aldi's access point. Additionally, cross-access is provided to the existing Culver's restaurant, which currently has full access point to Farrell Road. Circulation is provided on one side of the building, and enclosure for the trash dumpsters is provided, and the proposed enclosure will be constructed masonry to match the principal building. Parking is in compliance with section 156.102. A daycare facility requires 1 space per 400 square feet. A total of 27 spaces are required, and 28 spaces have been provided. Existing parking spaces located near the trash enclosure off the internal access drive are also provided. The site plan identifies the first 10 spaces along the playground to be designated for drop-off and pickup. A final landscape, a final landscape plan is displayed. The required perimeter landscaping on the west side of the parking lot has not been provided. However, as an alternative, landscaping has been provided on the west side of the playground, which is not a requirement. The foundation landscaping along the building has not been provided. However, also as an alternative, the landscaping has been provided outside the walkway on the east and the north side of the building. Staff finds that the landscaping, adequate landscaping has been provided. Additionally, container sizes are listed for required shrubs in the master plan list. As a condition of approval, required shrubs shall be a minimum of 24-inch height at the time of planting. Next, displayed is the final elevation plan. The final elevations were submitted and are in conformance with the city material requirements. The single-story building is proposed of a mix of thin brick and natural stone base, an accent at the entry. The building design includes 4 gables on the north elevation and 1 on the south elevation, which is the rear of the building. The signage package was provided, and the package includes 1 wall sign on the north elevation and a freestanding sign. Both signs are in conformance with the city's sign ordinance. Sign permits will be required at the time of construction. Each permit will be reviewed for compliance with the signage plan contained in the final development plan. Engineering plans have been reviewed by our engineering team. All comments have been addressed. The fire district, building official, and police department have reviewed the plans, and no comments related to development plan have been received at this time. Should the commission find the final development plans for a daycare facility in Rose Lockport Center, Lot 5 acceptable, the following motion is suggested. A motion to approve final development plans for a 10,485 square foot commercial building and outdoor playground for a daycare center development in Rose Lockport Center Unit 2 for Lot 5 with the following conditions as follows. Number 1, at the time of landscaping, required shrubs shall be a minimum of 24-inch height. 2, prior to committee of the whole, the commission shall grant staff permission to pursue an administrative variance for rear building setback. Upon approval, this case shall continue to committee of the whole. However, in the event that staff receives objection, the case will return to PZC for consideration. And 3, the plan set shall be revised prior to committee of the whole agenda, clearly marking the rear building setback. This concludes staff's analysis. The applicant, Eric Coons from LFI, is here tonight, and he would like to speak on behalf of the project.
Brought some material out. Do you want to pass it around? First of all, good evening, everybody. I'm going to keep this short because I know we all want to get home before the big fun storm coming up, whenever that's supposed to happen. But I have some of the stone and what's the thin brick that we're going to have for the building. If you want to pass it around or see it, or
I was curious what the color was, but now I know.
and we're going to make it, I mean, this is really what it's going to be, but, you know, there might be a small variation depending upon the availability, but this is pretty much what we're going for. Cool. Thanks. I'll make it quick. Like I said, I'm Eric Kunz. I work for LFI. I don't want to bore you with the details, but we've owned this property in the Shelby, we call it Shelby LLC, for about almost 20 years. Give you a quick history of LFI. We've been around for about 55 years. We're located in Mokina, Illinois. Our chairman is Mike Rose. And the company is primarily a retail developer, although we've branched out over the years. We're in medical office, we've done industrial, a lot of different properties. We have approximately 140 properties now in our portfolio. This would be one of them that we'll keep. Shelby, like I said, we've owned it since about 2006. We purchased land with Aldi, did the Murphy gas station, recently sold off the Panda, which was developed, and besides the daycare center, we have 2 lots that are left, and we're hoping to get that completed. And if that's the case, then we'll be done finally after 20 years. Takes a little time for us, but we'll get it done. The one thing I wanted to bring up that let me just introduce the team real quickly. We have, maybe you can just stand up. Dave Henney from LFI. He's our project coordinator for all our projects. Joseph Antonelli from Spaceco. He's our civil engineer. Dave Pearson and Orlando Vivagua from Susan Associates. They're our architects. Is Jenna here tonight? Oh, there's Jenna. Jenna Elbers from Kitty Academy Corporate out of New York. And we have the most important folks here, Kelly Harper and Chris Graham, who are the franchisees and will be running the tenants, and they'll be running the Kitty Academy. This will be your third. Second one. So, the one thing I just wanted to bring up is that we thought this would be a perfect location for a daycare. And the reason is we want to keep in mind that, was it Clover Ridge Residential is right to the west of us, putting a multi-tenant retail center or a restaurant, we thought that's a little loud, a little too much. The daycare center is going to be very, I think, perfect for this location. It's only open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. approximately. Monday through Friday, closed on weekends and closed at night. So hopefully that will satisfy the residents to the west, and we love working at Lockport here. Lance and Bob and Dan and everybody else, it's been enjoyable. So open it up for questions, or if you want me to just get the hell out, I'll do that too.
Commissioners, any questions?
I just had one question. I saw a couple differences on some of the site plans, and it looks like the main difference that I see is that in one of the locations, there's 5 parking spaces kind of to the rear east side of the building, and on the other ones, looks like it's more like a drive aisle for, maybe a garbage truck or something like that.
Right.
Just down here.
Those are part of the overall center, so
Okay.
they're not really subject to this particular property.
Okay, so those are going to be there, though, those 5 parking spots?
They
Okay,
already are.
okay.
Yeah, they're actually they're already there.
Okay, all right, because then, so that's part of so that's 33, but then you take those 5 off, and that's your 28 versus 27, that's the difference?
That's exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's all. I mean, I think in general, this is an excellent use of this space. As you said, it's a little quieter when it's abutting up against the residential. It's more of a destination. It's a little bit more secluded. Should there ever happen to be a situation where a kid gets out or something like that, they're not right up on the main road. So I think that, location-wise, I think that this is one of this or office space or something like that for this plot would have been superior to, having a high-traffic restaurant or something along those lines. So I think it's an excellent addition to the area there. So in general, I think everything else is pretty much accounted for. Obviously, the setback is something that we'll have to talk about. I don't think that it's an issue here, especially with what's behind it is going to be commercial, so I don't have an issue with that.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What's the face again?
I own the lot directly behind. So, I'm glad to see this coming rather than a restaurant, like you say. But what I'm concerned about is the light, because the panda light in the back shines like a spotlight into my bedroom. And I'm very concerned about the lighting on the back of the building. Is that going to be, that lighting going to be off at night?
It is, we have a light photometric study. I'm sorry. Deborah, we've got a photometric study that was prepared that shows the light variations, and it's very low, but we made sure, that was one of our concerns. Because I remember your complaint with the panda, and I agree.
And the menus.
And the menus, right.
And the light, yeah.
So I think, Joe, we're putting a fence with,
Yes, it will be on the west side of the playground, that's going to be abutting the property, and the residential subdivision will be a privacy fence along there.
So you won't see any.
Have slats.
So that'll block all the
That'll
light.
block,
yeah.
Okay. The other question is, who's responsible for maintaining that road? You're going to plant it, it's all going to be landscaped.
That's
Who's
our,
going to
that's,
maintain it?
I believe that's, thank you. That's our responsibility.
Okay, so how do we get information on how to contact you? For example, there's some dead trees out there now.
Sure.
How do we contact you?
We will make sure, I'll get my name and phone number, and I'll pass it on to your, so
Okay.
you can call me.
Okay.
We have a person that manages all our properties, and I'll be straight up with you. We didn't do the best job 2
No.
years ago. Dave and I went out and looked at it with Lance, and, yeah, it was pretty bad. So
Mine was pretty bad. I paid to fix it.
No, I'm sorry, because I came on board about a year ago, and we saw that, this is not. So we're intending never to have that happen again, but I'll give you a phone number and you can call anytime.
Great, I would love to.
Exactly. The best way, right? Okay. Anybody else?
Yes. How many employees are going to be working there?
How many employees?
Yes.
Yeah.
It will depend. I mean, in the beginning, there won't be very many as we scale up in terms of enrollment. We have a location in Lamont. Currently, we have 30, and we're at capacity for our enrollment there. So it'll be around 30 employees.
Well, assuming all of those employees are going to be driving to work and then occupying, their cars going to be occupying a parking space.
Well, yeah, they have multiple shifts, so there won't be 30 people all at once at that building.
It's a 12-hour day, so we have some people open and leave at 3:30. We have some staff members who are in school and only come to close out the rest of the afternoon/evening. So they won't all 30 be
Okay.
on premise at the same time.
How many children will this,
We have
I think it's 156.
156. 156.
That's your capacity,
That's it.
156?
That's the capacity.
Okay, so that said, I saw that there's 10 spaces designated for pickup and drop off, but like how chaotic does that get? I know it's not schools, there's not a set time for everyone.
Right.
But that seems like a lot of kids for a very small area to pick up and drop off.
I'm going to have, listen, yeah, why don't you come on up, guys? Come on up.
Hello, I'm Chris. I'm the pretty face behind the real business, so I'll look back to my guidance there. In general, we tend to expect there to be kind of a rush hour around the 6:30, 7 a.m. timeframe. Initial drop off kind of depends what the metro schedule is, what the commute schedules look like, local businesses, but it kind of surges. What will happen is in the morning we'll start out pretty light. We'll maybe have 20 or 30 kids dropped off or so. Then we'll see more coming in the 8 o'clock hours, 7:30 a.m. sort of time frame. And then that will be good for a little while. We'll see buses will work with the local school systems to do drop-off pickup. So if there's any before-school programs we're doing, kids will be picked up by the bus and go to that. Then we'll see the next kind of rush hour period. Really, we may see some around noon because there'll be people that'll be doing half days that will be like, hey, look, I want to come have my kid at home with me for the rest of the day, or I don't want to have my kid at home with me for the rest of the day, so I'm going to drop them off there. So around noon, we'll see a little bit of trading back and forth, and then again, we'll see around about 3 to 5 o'clock or so would be the next sort of period. The current location we have in Lamont has a similar sized parking lot. Never are we at capacity, and we're able to make sure that parents are aware of how the drop-off procedure should work, and we try and keep it quick and clean so that we're not causing any backup or any trouble there.
now my concern was the number of parents dropping off and picking up.
They're pretty quick, so what will happen is we'll have 1 to 2 checkout in kiosks. So if for some reason we see that things are getting backed up a little bit, the staff are empowered to be able to allow more machines to be used to check in kids. That way we can kind of get them in, get them out. Parents usually don't want to linger too long. They want to get onto their day, and they do a pretty quick drop off, which is nice. In general, even in the rush hour period, you'll have maybe 3 or 4 cars doing the drop off at any one time. Because no one ever really shows up all at the same time. It's not like at 6 a.m. on the dot, people are showing up and it's just a bad rush. They trickle in throughout the morning.
Well, the parents are going to have to be going through Panda Express.
Hey, if they choose to get some breakfast from there, more power to them.
Panda Express isn't open until 10:30 in the morning.
So we might expect a little bit later early morning drop off then.
Yeah.
So the hours, we say roughly 6 to 6, 6:30 to 6:30. It kind of depends also a little bit what the community needs. So what we don't want to do is say, hey, we're open from 5 to 5 and discover that parents really don't have the ability to utilize our services in the evening, that we need to stay there a little longer. But it is limited to a 12-hour window, so usually we find that 6:30 to 6:30 to be a good balance for what the parents need and what the community wants.
So you're comfortable with the plan, and you feel your clients, your customers will not get upset and go somewhere else?
I am, and, you know, to Eric's credit and the team's credit, they put up with a lot of my comments and feedback from lessons learned from the first location. So it's one of those things where you try and build upon your successes and learn from any mistakes that might have been made or adjustments that you want to do. So I'm more confident in this location than I was my first one, and the first one's been doing very well. We have a very good relationship with both the community and the local municipality.
And how long has the other location been open?
I'm going to say 4 years. So we're almost at our 4-year anniversary. So.
Sounds like the kinks have been worked out, hopefully.
And I would also add about the drop-off procedure, since COVID, we see a lot of families work from home now, and so the drop-off is very fluid. We have families who are still dropping off at 11 a.m., which I think is very interesting, but we allow just an open door policy at our current location, and I expect to do the same here, where, you know, families, they bring the children as needed, really, and it's not, everyone is making a mad dash at the same exact time to get somewhere. There's just a lot more flexibility, I think, for families with work days now.
That area in front of Aldi's and the gas station has a traffic light, but that area is congested most of the day. Every time I go by there, I see somebody running the traffic light.
There's a traffic light.
The traffic light by the Aldi, are you saying, or?
In front of the gas station.
Yeah, okay, in front of the gas station.
Yeah, I see right turn on red without stopping. It's quite commonplace.
Is that right?
And all you need is a few parents in a hurry and a few people. Have you considered doing a traffic study for this project at all?
It was not required. We typically don't require a traffic study for an individual outlot unless there is a, extenuating circumstance or a proven challenge at other locations in other municipalities, or the configuration, the overall circulation is challenged to some degree. So it was not required as part of this project.
Okay, well, these parents are going to have to cut through Panda Express and cut through the gas station in order to get into the business.
Correct. Yeah, the overall development that you saw a couple months ago related to all the roads that run along the west and the east side of this development was intended to be interconnected. It is not intended to be, somebody's little own property that they put barricades up to. It was intended to have continuous flow for people either coming from the traffic signal in front of Aldi all the way down to Culver's, which would ultimately extend even to the corner property if and when that's ever developed. And the same thing would happen to the West Drive. You'll notice at the top of your screen in the